My name is Barbara Wilson, and I'm 58 years old. I never thought the son I raised alone since he was 12 would betray me like this. 2 weeks volunteering with Doctors Without Borders in Guatemala, saving children's lives, and I return to find every possession I own packed in boxes on my front porch. A handwritten note taped to my suitcase. Sorry, Mom. No space for you. My heart shattered right there on the doorstep of the home I'd owned for 25 years. My son Travis and his wife Amanda, of 8 months, had decided I was disposable. If you're watching this from a place where family still means something, hit that like button and subscribe. Let's talk about when the children you raised decide you're disposable. I need to take you back to understand how we got here. My husband David died suddenly when Travis was just 12. A massive heart attack at 42, gone before the ambulance arrived. As a pediatrician, I'd saved countless children, but I couldn't save my husband. Travis and I were devastated. We clung to each other through the grief. I threw myself into being both mother and father. Every baseball game, every parent-teacher conference, helping with science fair projects late into the night. I made sure Travis had the best education, the best opportunities. When he got accepted to Stanford for pre-med, I took extra hospital shifts to pay the tuition without burdening him with student loans. I wanted him to have every advantage. Travis decided medicine wasn't for him after sophomore year, switching to business instead. I supported his decision completely. It was his life to live. He graduated with honors and landed a job at Meridian Pharmaceuticals, where he met Amanda. She worked in marketing, tall and poised, with perfect blonde hair and a dazzling smile. When Travis first brought her home 3 years ago, I thought she seemed somewhat reserved, but I assumed she was just nervous meeting me. I was thrilled when Travis told me they were engaged. At 57, I'd begun wondering if I'd ever have grandchildren. I threw myself into helping with wedding plans, though Amanda politely declined most of my suggestions. The wedding was beautiful but formal, nothing like the warm family celebration I'd imagined. Travis looked happy, and that's what mattered to me. Warning signs started appearing gradually. Sunday dinners became monthly, then quarterly. Phone calls shortened. Travis began checking with Amanda before making any plans with me. When they bought a small starter home, I offered to help with the down payment, but Amanda said her parents had it covered. I later learned they hadn't contributed a dime. 8 months ago, Travis called with what he presented as wonderful news. They'd sold their small house and wanted to move in with me temporarily while looking for their dream home. My house has 4 bedrooms, plenty of space, and I was delighted at the prospect of having family around again. The reality was different. Amanda immediately suggested I move into the smallest bedroom so they could have the master suite. It made sense they were a couple, but something felt off about how quickly they claimed my space. My art was taken down, replaced with Amanda's modern prints. My furniture moved to the basement to make room for their sleek, uncomfortable pieces. I kept telling myself this was temporary, just a few months. I focused instead on planning my first international volunteer trip, something I'd dreamed about since medical school but never had time for as a single mom. 2 weeks providing pediatric care in Guatemala. Travis seemed supportive, even encouraging. The night before my departure, Travis mentioned doing some renovations while I was gone. I was too busy packing my medical supplies to ask for details. He drove me to the airport, hugged me goodbye, and said, "The house might look different when you get back, Mom." I had no idea how prophetic those words would be. After 14 days of working 18-hour shifts in a makeshift clinic treating children with preventable diseases, I was exhausted but fulfilled. On the flight home, I made plans to cook Travis's favorite lasagna. I'd missed him terribly and couldn't wait to share stories from my trip. The taxi pulled into our tree-lined suburban street around 4 in the afternoon. From a distance, everything looked normal until we approached the driveway. That's when I saw them. 12 cardboard boxes stacked neatly by the front door, each labeled in Travis's handwriting, Mom's clothes, Mom's books, Mom's medical journals. My first thought was, they'd packed for me to move to another bedroom. Then I spotted my suitcase from college that Travis had used for storage in the attic, now bulging with what looked like photo albums. Taped to it was a folded piece of paper with my name. The taxi driver asked if everything was okay. I nodded, mechanically paid him, and approached my own front door like it belonged to a stranger. My hands trembled as I unfolded the note. "Sorry, Mom. No space for you anymore. We need the room for our future. Travis and Amanda." I stood there, my medical backpack still slung over my shoulder, jet lag, forgotten in a surge of adrenaline. The key wouldn't turn in the lock. They'd changed the locks on my own house. I rang the doorbell, then knocked, then pounded with my fist. Through the decorative glass panels, I could see movement inside, but no one came to the door. I called Travis's cell phone 3 times, straight to voicemail. Finally, I texted him, "I'm outside. My things are on the porch. What's going on?" 5 excruciating minutes later, my phone dinged. "Sorry about the shock, Mom. Amanda and I decided it's time we had our own place. We need the space. We can talk later this week when things settle down." As if evicting your mother is just a minor scheduling inconvenience. I called again. Nothing. I sent another text. "Travis, this is my house. You can't just put me out. Please come to the door so we can talk." His response chilled me. "Legally, it's complicated now. Our lawyer can explain. Can you please give us some space right now? This is a big transition for us, too." Our lawyer. Transition for them. After 30 minutes, the front door finally opened. Amanda stood there, one hand protectively over her stomach, though I saw no visible pregnancy. Her expression was a mixture of pity and annoyance. "Travis is on an important work call," she said, not inviting me in. "We thought you'd be happy for us. We're expecting and we're turning your room into a nursery." The words hit like physical blows. They were having a baby, my grandchild, and they hadn't even told me. And somehow, that justified putting me on the street. "Amanda, let me speak to my son." I tried to keep my voice steady. "He's really busy right now with work and our future. Maybe you should get a hotel for tonight. We can all talk when things are calmer." She started to close the door. "Wait, at least let me get some toiletries and medication from my bathroom," I pleaded. "Everything you need should be in those boxes," she said, nodding toward the pile. "We were very thorough." The door closed. I heard the deadbolt turn. I sat in my car in the driveway staring at my home of 25 years. Rain began to fall, drumming on the roof. Where does a 58-year-old woman go when her own child puts her out? I had friends, of course, but the humiliation of explaining this situation was unthinkable. A hotel seemed the only option, but something else occurred to me, something I hadn't thought about in years. What Travis never knew, what I never felt the need to tell him, was that I wasn't just a doctor who saved for retirement. After David died, I became obsessed with financial security. The life insurance paid off our mortgage, and I invested every spare penny. 15 years ago, I purchased a small apartment building across town as a retirement investment. The property manager handled everything, and the income went straight into an investment account. One unit 2B I kept vacant and furnished. For emergencies. I told myself, though, I never defined what emergency would require a secret apartment. Now I knew. The rain fell harder as I drove across town, windshield wipers struggling to keep up with my tears. The property was nothing fancy, just a well-maintained 2-story building with 8 units in a quiet neighborhood. I parked behind the building and used my rarely used key to enter through the back door. Unit 2B smelled musty from disuse. Simple furniture, basic kitchenware, a bed with plastic-covered mattress. I'd come here quarterly to check on things, but never stayed overnight. Now it represented both salvation and failure. I had a place to go, but it was because my own son had discarded me. I sat on the edge of the bed and finally let the sobs come. 20 years of single motherhood, of birthday parties and broken arms and college tuition payments reduced to boxes on a porch. What had I done wrong? Where had I failed him? When the crying subsided, practicality took over the same focused efficiency that made me a good doctor. First, I drove back to the house after dark and retrieved my boxes while no one was watching. Second, I called my old friend from medical school, Judy Garner, who'd become a real estate attorney. "They can't do this, Barbara," Judy said after hearing my story. "If the house is in your name, they have no right to change the locks or evict you. Travis mentioned something about it being legally complicated now, and a lawyer." Judy was silent for a moment. "Check your files. Have you signed anything recently? Any paperwork Travis might have given you?" I thought back to a month before my trip. Travis had brought some documents he said needed my signature for his financial planning. I'd been swamped with pre-trip vaccinations and paperwork for the volunteer program. He brought some papers, but I told him I was too busy and would look at them after my trip. Thank God for that, Judy said. Barbara, I think he was trying to get you to transfer the house to him. Without your signature, he has no claim regardless of what he's told his wife. I found my home's deed in my files, confirming it was still solely in my name. A wave of relief was followed by a deeper sense of betrayal. My son had attempted to manipulate ownership of my home out from under me. What should I do, Judy? Don't sign anything, don't agree to anything verbally, and Barbara, I hate to say this, but you need to look deeper into what else they might have done. Financial records, accounts, everything. That night in my emergency apartment, I stared at the ceiling and wondered how the baby I'd nursed through fevers, the boy I'd taught to ride a bike, the young man I'd helped move into his college dorm could have become someone who would put his mother out on the street. The next morning, I began my investigation. As a doctor, I'd developed a network of professional contacts. A discreet call to a colleague at Meridian Pharmaceuticals revealed Amanda had been fired a year ago for ethical violations involving marketing claims for a new drug. She hadn't been unemployed, as Travis had told me. She'd been terminated. I checked Travis's social media accounts. There were dozens of photos of home renovation projects, nursery planning, and couples activities. No mention of me, not even when I'd left for my humanitarian trip. It was as if I'd been erased from their narrative months ago. My next call was to Franklin Peters, the family financial advisor who'd helped me since David's death. His response was immediate concern. Barbara, I've been trying to reach you. Travis came in 2 months ago with paperwork he said you had signed requesting all your financial statements be sent to him instead of you. I was uncomfortable with it, but the signature looked authentic. My blood ran cold. I never signed anything like that, Franklin. I suspected as much. The timing seemed odd. I've been sending duplicate statements to your email, but when they bounced back as undeliverable, I tried calling. My email isn't working. I checked my phone. Sure enough, I couldn't access my long-time email account. They've been busy, Franklin said grimly. I'd like to meet with you today to review everything and change all your passwords and access points. That afternoon, Judy joined us at Franklin's office. The picture that emerged was disturbing. Travis and Amanda had taken out significant loans, apparently using my house as collateral, even without the deed transfer. They'd attempted to redirect my mail access, my retirement accounts, and had successfully changed my email password through account recovery options that required personal information only Travis would know. This is more than opportunism, Judy said. This is a calculated financial strategy. The question is whether Travis is driving this or being manipulated by Amanda. Does it matter? I asked, feeling hollow. Either way, my son is trying to steal from me. It matters for how we proceed, Judy explained. I recommend we start with a formal meeting, present the evidence, and see how they respond before taking legal action. Sometimes the shock of being caught is enough to end the behavior. I spent the next 2 days documenting everything, freezing accounts, changing passwords, and placing fraud alerts. Through it all, I kept expecting to feel rage, but instead felt a profound sadness. What had happened to the loving relationship I thought we had? On the third day, I did something for myself. I got a haircut, bought a new outfit, and had lunch at my favorite restaurant. Small steps toward reclaiming my identity beyond Travis's mother. That afternoon, I called Travis. We need to have a family meeting, I said when he answered, sounding cautious. Mom now isn't a good time. Maybe next week when... Tomorrow at 2 o'clock at Judy Garner's office downtown, I interrupted. This isn't a request, Travis. A pause. Who's Judy Garner? My attorney. Be there with Amanda, or the next conversation will be through formal legal channels. I hung up before he could respond. My hand shaking, but my resolve firm. Judy's conference room projected exactly the right tone, professional, serious, but not intimidating. I arrived early, arranging documents in neat folders. Judy sat beside me, radiating competence and support. Travis and Amanda arrived 15 minutes late. My heart ached seeing Travis, my boy, despite everything. He looked tired, shadows under his eyes, his normally neat appearance slightly rumpled. Amanda, by contrast, was immaculate in an expensive maternity dress that showcased a small but now visible baby bump. Travis faltered when he saw Judy. Mom, I thought this was a family meeting. Judy is a family friend and my legal representative, I said calmly. Please, sit down. Amanda immediately went on offensive. If you've brought a lawyer, we should have brought ours. This feels like an ambush. This isn't court, Amanda. This is a conversation that needs witnesses because trust has been broken. I opened the first folder. Let's start with the house. My house. I placed the deed on the table. This confirms I am the sole owner. I never signed any transfer documents despite attempts to get me to do so. Travis shifted uncomfortably. Mom, we just thought it made sense to transfer the house since you're traveling now. You said you wanted to do more volunteer work abroad. We're starting a family and need the space. By throwing my belongings onto the porch, by changing the locks on my home, we thought a clean break would be easier, Amanda interjected. Dragging it out would just be painful for everyone. What would have been easier, Judy said, her professional tone masking anger, would have been having an honest conversation before making decisions about someone else's property. I opened the second folder. These are bank statements showing attempts to access my accounts. This is documentation of mail and email tampering. These are loan applications using my house as collateral without my knowledge. The color drained from Travis's face. Amanda's expression hardened. We needed startup capital, she said defiantly. Travis is launching a business. Your house was just sitting there, equity going unused while you're off playing savior in third world countries. Amanda, Travis warned, but she continued. You had your life, Barbara. You got to have a career and a family. Now it's our turn, and we need the resources to do it right. Travis deserves that after everything he went through losing his father. You owe him that. I looked at my son. Really looked at him, searching for the boy I raised. Is that how you feel, Travis? That I owe you my home, my savings, my security? Not exactly, he mumbled. We just thought you'd be happy living somewhere smaller, more manageable, and we really do need the space for the baby. You have 7 other rooms in that house, I said quietly. You didn't need my bedroom, you wanted me gone. That's not true, he protested weakly. We've already spent some of the money, Amanda blurted. The loans are in process, using the house as collateral. We can't just undo everything. Actually, you can and will, Judy interjected, pulling out more documents. Since Barbara never authorized any of this, the loans are fraudulent. The banks will be very interested in that information. Travis looked panicked, caught between his wife's demands and the legal reality. I placed my hand on his, feeling the little boy inside the man. I raised you better than this, Travis. Whatever is going on in your life, stealing from your mother isn't the answer. You don't understand, he said, voice cracking. Things are complicated now. Then help me understand, without the lies. Amanda stood suddenly. This is ridiculous. We don't have to sit here being attacked. Travis, we're leaving. My son looked torn, glancing between his wife and me. Travis, I said with quiet firmness, this ends now one way or another. You can work with me to fix this mess or you can face the legal consequences. But you cannot have my house. Amanda stormed out. After a moment's hesitation, Travis followed, but the backward glance he gave me held something I hadn't seen before, doubt. Round 2 will be better, Judy said after they left. He's starting to see the reality of their situation. Will there be a round 2? I asked. Oh, yes, she said confidently. He'll be back probably alone next time. 2 days later, Travis called and asked to meet. Just him, no Amanda. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop halfway between my apartment and my house, neutral territory. He arrived looking even more exhausted than before his normally confident posture slumped. He ordered black coffee and gripped the mug like a lifeline. Amanda's at her parents', he said before I could ask. We had a massive fight after the meeting. I waited, giving him space to continue without pressure. Mom, I've made a terrible mess of everything, he finally said, voice breaking. I don't even know how it got this far. It started small, Amanda suggesting we move in with you temporarily to save money. Then she said we should take the master bedroom since there were 2 of us. Then she started talking about how the house was too traditional, needed updating. When did the financial deception start? I asked quietly. He stared into his coffee. 6 months ago, Amanda lost her job, but she didn't want anyone to know. She said it would hurt our image. She kept shopping, buying expensive things, saying appearances matter for networking. We got into debt, then she got pregnant. And decided my house and savings were the solution. She said you had more than you needed, that you were just one person while we were starting a family. that you'd want us to have it. His eyes filled with tears. I knew it was wrong, but she made it sound reasonable, like you'd volunteer to help if you really understood our situation. So, rather than ask, you decided to take. I'm so sorry, Mom. I got caught up in Amanda's plans, her vision for our future. She can be very convincing. When you went to Guatemala, she said it was the perfect time to move your things out and just present it as a done deal. She said you'd adapt. The Travis? I thought I knew would never have done these things, but people can surprise you, especially when love and fear cloud their judgment. Amanda has a spending problem, Mom. Designer clothes, expensive furniture, plans for a lavish nursery. When I try to talk about budgeting, she gets hysterical, says I'm stressing her, and it's bad for the baby. I feel trapped. I reached for his hand. Travis, I will always be your mother, and I will always love you, but I will never be your doormat or your ATM. What you and Amanda did was wrong on every level. I know, he whispered. The house stays in my name. Non-negotiable. You and Amanda have 60 days to find another place to live. He nodded, looking relieved at the clear boundary. I'll help with a security deposit on a rental, but only if both of you agree to financial counseling and therapy. And I want full access to your financial records to ensure nothing like this happens again. What about the loans Amanda already took out? I'll work with Judy to address those, but the consequences will be yours to bear, not mine. And the baby, your grandchild. The question pierced my heart. I would love to be part of my grandchild's life, but that depends entirely on rebuilding trust with both parents. Right now, that trust is shattered. Travis broke down, then sobbing in the coffee shop like the little boy who'd come to me with skinned knees. Part of me wanted to gather him in my arms and protect him. The wiser part knew he needed to face this moment of truth without rescue. I don't know if my marriage will survive this, he confessed. Amanda expected me to fight harder for the house. She says I'm choosing you over her and our baby. That's a false choice she's creating. You can be a good son and a good husband and father, but not by stealing from one to provide for the others. As we parted, Travis hugged me tightly. I'll fix this, Mom. Somehow. Start by being honest, I told him. With me, with Amanda, and with yourself. I watched him walk away, shoulders straighter than when he arrived. The road ahead would be difficult, but at least it was now visible. 6 months have passed since that rainy day when I found my belongings on the porch. I'm back in my home now, though much has changed. Travis and Amanda are renting an apartment across town. Their marriage is strained, but surviving largely due to the counseling they're receiving as part of our agreement. The manipulation and financial deception came to light in therapy. Amanda's spending was a symptom of deeper issues stemming from her childhood insecurities. Travis's inability to stand up to her came from his fear of abandonment after losing his father. Understanding doesn't excuse their behavior, but it helps create a path forward. I've established clear boundaries. I don't offer financial help beyond what we agreed. Visits are scheduled, not spontaneous. Trust rebuilds slowly, one honest conversation at a time. 2 months ago, my granddaughter Sophia was born. Holding her for the first time, I experienced conflicting emotions. Joy at her perfect tiny fingers, sadness at the circumstances of her arrival, determination that she'd grow up, understanding both generosity and boundaries. I've found support in a group of women with similar experiences, mothers navigating complicated relationships with adult children. Their stories help me feel less alone, less ashamed of a situation I never expected to face. My home feels like mine again. I've redecorated, replacing furniture Amanda discarded, hanging artwork that brings me joy. I've expanded my volunteer work and planned a trip to Kenya next spring. At 58, I'm rediscovering who Barbara Wilson is beyond being Travis's mother. The most important lesson I've learned is that unconditional love doesn't require unconditional acceptance of mistreatment. I can love my son while refusing to be his victim. I can forgive without forgetting the painful lessons learned. Sometimes victory isn't getting everything you wanted, but refusing to lose what matters most. I've lost the uncomplicated relationship I thought I had with my son, but gained wisdom and self-respect. The space in my heart will always have room for Travis, but the space in my life now belongs to me. Have you ever had to set difficult boundaries with people you love? Share your experience in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe to hear more journeys of recovery and resilience. And remember, sometimes the strongest thing you can say is simply no. Thank you for listening, and may you find the courage to protect your own space while keeping your heart open to genuine love.